Anyone is here that'd like to sign up for public comment, you have the sheets over here. You have two separate sheets, one is agenda related and one is non-agenda related, so feel free to sign up for either one of those. Has every member recorded their presence? Madam Clerk.
20 present, 4 absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have a quorum. First order, proclamations, recognitions. Is anyone here to receive the proclamation in honor of April Donate Life Month? Is anyone here to receive that? I have a stack of proclamations. I haven't gone through them to see which one is which. Tennessee organ procurement organizations throughout the nation. And whereas each organ donor hero can give the gift of life to 8 people and use each tissue donor can improve another 75 lives. Whereas more than 100,000 American men, women, and children, 3,000 of whom are Tennesseans, are awaiting for life-saving organ transplants. Whereas the most effective way to address this health crisis is to educate and to encourage Tennesseans to commit to registering their decision to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor in the Donate Life Tennessee Registry, donatelifetn.org, or at our local driver's license center. Whereas Sullivan County supports saving lives through organ, eye, and tissue donation and finds the cause of such immediate and worthwhile importance. And now, therefore, on behalf of Sullivan County Mayor and Board of Commissioners, we would like to enter this into record, April as National Donate Life Month. Thank you all for letting me read that. Next order is recognition of Sullivan County's outstanding educators. Is anyone here to receive one of these certificates? Okay. As I call your name, if you will come up, please. Mike Wilson. Excuse me? I was going to read the proclamation. I was going to present it to him. Sullivan County Board of Commissioners certifies this accomplishment. This certificate is hereby presented to Mike Wilson in recognition of outstanding dedication and commitment to education. Principal of the Year, Miller Perry Elementary School. certificate is hereby presented to Matthew Harrison in recognition of outstanding dedication and commitment to education. High School Teacher of the Year, Spanish at Sullivan East High School. Cheryl White. This certificate is hereby presented to Cheryl White in recognition of outstanding dedication and commitment to education. Middle School Teacher of the Year, 8th grade math and RTI at Sullivan East Middle School. How long did you teach that? 38 years. Oh, I know this name, Karen Venable Dean. I graduated with this very young lady. Good to see you. This certificate is hereby presented to Karen Venable Dean in recognition of outstanding dedication and commitment to education. Elementary School Teacher of the Year, 3rd grade at Rock Springs. Andy Buck. She couldn't make it, but this is in recognition of outstanding dedication and commitment to education. Supervisor of the Year, Middle School Curriculum Supervisor and Special Education at Central Office. Andy Buck. This certificate is hereby presented to Chuck Carter for dedication and commitment to fostering an environment of excellence and growth for educators that made a significant impact on our school community. It's our privilege on behalf of we'll get a photo. Wait a minute.
Hey, John, she's getting ready to right behind.
Okay, I'll get one. I'll get everyone. Next order, speakers and presentations. Executive Director, Renee Hendricks, District Attorney General Barry's Office from Branch House Family Justice Center. Y'all will come up, please.
Thank you for allowing us to come back in
Thank
a
you.
few days ago, like a boomerang or a bad dream. But Ms. Hendricks, we have a PowerPoint, and we can pull those slides up. And she's going to go through very quickly through the presentation. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Hendricks.
You can go to the next one. So I want to start with a research study that was conducted by the American Medical Association. Over 5 years, they studied ED visits related to domestic violence. And they found that the prevalence, frequency, and severity of physical and sexual violence was higher in smaller areas. And in fact, in areas where there was difficulty accessing services, to intervene before violence escalated, there were more domestic violence related homicides. You go to the next one. And I pulled data for 10 years from Sullivan County, and you can go to the next one. So if you look at the 10-year trend, from 2013 to 15, 100% of homicides in Sullivan County were DV related. From 2017 to 2019, 67% of homicides were DV related. Branch House opened mid-2018. From 2020 to 2023, only 27% of homicides were domestic violence related. And I bring that up because not just the loss of life, but General Sullivan can speak to this. The cost of prosecuting homicide for taxpayers is extraordinarily high. This is from the Tennessee Comptroller. So it's related to Tennessee. Per homicide, the average cost is $401,000. The funding request we're asking for is 12% the cost to prosecute one homicide. These are Sullivan County domestic violence rates. As you see, 2019, this was Branch House's first year being open. There was a 24% decrease in DV reports after 2018. And it's because of these services we provide. These are the preventative services that prevent an escalation of violence, give victims the ability to access resources like shelter, transportation, financial assistance, so that they can leave their abusers, so that they can be independent and safe. And I am in no way suggesting Branch House is solely responsible for the decreases in domestic violence crime. We absolutely are not. These coordinated meetings are the most important aspect of what Branch House does. It's because we work with law enforcement, the DA's office, SANES, mental health counseling. That's why, and what we're doing, it's working. This team sexual assault program is what we have now taken over, because we want to do the same thing with sexual assault that we did with domestic violence. Use those same strategies to reduce sexual assault rates. As you can see, 2020 and 2021, Sullivan County had the highest incident rate of sexual assault in the entire state. 2016 to 2019, second highest rate in the state. We took over the same program in 2023. That's the next slide. As you can see, to date, we've done almost 170 forensic exams, and we are the only community-based SANE program in a 100-mile radius. We are the only family justice center in the state with a SARC coordinator. We are the only non-grant funded SANE program in the state, and we are the only dual family justice center and sexual assault center in the state of Tennessee, which is why Branch House has become a benchmark program. We have been published in the Journal of Forensic Nursing. We've been awarded by many organizations. We've been a highlight program for many organizations, and we are a state training site. And I'm not going to go through all of these numbers because this data was in the handout I gave out last week. But what I do want to point out is we see an average of 300 clients a year. We have seen almost 2,000 victims of violence since we opened the doors. And that number increases every year that we're in operation.
Now, before we'll I have Sheriff Cassidy here somewhere. He's going to speak on behalf of the branch house.
There he is.
Here he is, he's in the back. And I want to say the sheriff, along with Chief Phipps and Chief Austin, are on our board of the branch house and very active. And I'll let the sheriff speak about the importance of the branch house in the community.
Thank you, General. Yeah, I can't really go into detail of just how important the branch house has been to law enforcement. We have quarterly meetings with the chiefs of police, myself, the director, district attorney general, and we just, they do so much tremendous efforts for these big victims of sexual abuse, human trafficking, elder abuse, domestic violence abuse, and I can't tell you how important it is. And there's some people on the board here that knows just how tremendous they work with law enforcement, because we just don't have the resources to provide for victims, but they fill in that gap when it comes to transportation, housing. Some of these victims have nothing, and that's why the control of the domestic violence abuse sometimes works, because they have no financial means to leave that partner. So they fill in that gap, get these domestic violence, sexual assault victims all the resources they need to get them back on their feet, get them back safely in the community. Because like Lene said, a lot of our homicides, a huge percentage of them are domestic related. So Branch House is an extremely important nonprofit, and I really appreciate everything they do for law enforcement and for the community, and being the voice for these victims of these serious crimes. I just wanted to say that. Thank you, Commission.
I'll be totally brief in how lawyers are. But I'm glad to be here. Branch House started in 2018. I received a letter from Governor Haskell. When he was mayor of Knoxville, he started the first Family Justice Center. I didn't know what one was. I thought it sounded like a good idea because studies had shown that it reduced domestic violence, that it allowed victims of domestic violence to become productive, tax-paying citizens. I thought it was worth a shot. I know that probably 60% of my docket is domestic related. And I thought if I could reduce the amount of domestic violence, the amount of rapes, assault, if we could reduce the amount of trips that the police had to go out to their houses, if we could reduce the time that officers were tied up in the hospital or the emergency room, if we could do those things, it would be good for the victims, but it would also be good for Sullivan County. And through the leadership of Lene Hendricks and the other previous directors, it's been a cutting-edge program. Sullivan County should be proud of what they do. And one of the biggest things that we've done is the sexual assault exam rate. When a woman or a man is a victim of sexual assault, whether it's rape or a battery, they don't have to wait hours at the emergency room about it. Instead, they come to one of our rooms, whether it's in Johnson City Medical Center, Olson Valley, or in Bluffville, and one day, hopefully, to commit to battle in Bristol. They can come in immediately and be examined in private. They get clothing, they get food, they get transportation, they can get with a paralegal who can do an order of protection. They have animals, because I found out that animal abuse and child abuse are very much linked with domestic violence. Often the abuser will say, "Oh, if you leave, I will kill your dog or your cat." Now they can bring their animals with them and have foster care for them. They can be given training, they can be given counseling, all those programs, housing, transportation, all those things can be done. Before, it was very difficult for women to get to court, with all the papers they needed for protection. Not now. And also the detectives are there. They don't have to wait around for hours till they get out of the emergency room. They can interview them, provide the services they need. And we had many cases where sometimes women wait hours in the emergency room. And we have to collect their clothes as evidence, and they would walk out literally with a t-shirt and barefoot. Not anymore. Not anymore. Now they get a bag of clothing, flip-flops, clothing, food, whatever they need when they walk out of there. And they're treated with dignity. And that also enhances my ability and the sheriff's ability to investigate these cases and hold the perpetrators liable, hold them responsible for what they do. To deter crime, to prevent crime, to punish crime, but also to rebuild lives. That's what the branch house is about. And that's why I'm here, and that's why we're asking funding from Sullivan County, because we feel, though it's a nonprofit, that it actually is an investment. I know that's an overused word, but in this case, it's true. We have the statistics, we have the programs, we have the recognition, and we have the people to prove it, to show it. We want to continue operating, we want to expand, we want to continue all the good programs we have, but we have ideas for better and more programs in the future. So that's why I'm here. If y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Ms. Hendricks.
Thank you, General Salas. Any questions from any members of the body? Commissioner Means.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for coming in here.
Thank you.
Mr. Wallace. I just had a couple questions.
Sure.
When the branch house was created initially, was it just for women and children
No,
initially?
no,
Okay.
it's for everybody. Anybody that's a victim of domestic violence. And the grant, matter of fact, says whether it's man, woman, child, old, young, regardless of color, religion, it matters.
All right.
But I will say, the vast majority, probably 85% of the victims are women and children.
That was my next question, was how many percent of it? So-
I think the last time I pulled the statistics, I think it was 87%.
Okay, so I guess I was thinking of the branch house wrong. I was thinking it was a safe place for women and children to be able to go to be able to have that, exclusive space for them. Is there?
What it is like a one-stop shop. It used to be, before we had the branch house, if someone was a victim of domestic violence, the police would pick them up and or take a report. They may have to call family members. Then somebody would then refer them to a counselor. And if they needed housing, then they'd have to go to someone to give them placing for housing. If they wanted something for a program for their children, they'd have to go somewhere there. If there was no program for animals, there were no food, there was no food pantries, there was no clothing, there was no exam room. So they ended up going to 8 or 9, 10 places. And you can imagine if you get traumatized, you can be in shock, and you're in shambles, and somebody says, well, you got to go to all these places before you ever go to court. Or they tell you, go to the clerk's office, and you don't even have a driver's license. And they say, well, you fill out this 14-page order of protection. Well, now you can sit down with a paralegal to make sure that the answers are accurate, correct, and legally appropriate for order of protection. And we obviously take the paperwork to the courthouse and make sure it's filed. Then they have to come and testify. So the branch house makes all those things central receiving, where we get people where they need to go. And it's efficient. It means we don't waste time, and it means that they don't get caught in cracks. They get to our place. They get the services they want and they need. And they get a police officer there to interview them. They get a nurse there to examine them. They get food if they need food. They get transportation. They get all those things in one spot. So instead of all these different services that are inefficient, we get efficient. And also, the aim is to help victims get justice, to get their lives together. What we want to do, we don't want to just have programs. We want to turn people's lives around, and we've done that. We have people that were in the cycle of violence. They got out, they got divorced, they got their protection, they got jobs, they got the counseling they need. That's our goal, and that's what it does.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Commissioner Horn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to speak in support of the branch house. I had the pleasure of working with both of them many, many times. And when we spend our money, I know we want real-world examples of the value in what we're giving it to. And the value we get from the branch house is far beyond the amount they're asking for. I couldn't tell you how many times, no matter what time during the day, middle of the night, whenever it may be, I call Renee, have a question or need something, and she would always answer. I was involved in investigating homicides and sexual assaults prior to and then after the inception of the branch house, and the difference in those investigations was amazing. How much assistance they offered, and the decrease in repeat victims was also because of the help they provided, not just in the moment, but after the fact as well. So it's very valuable resource, and I encourage everybody to support them as much as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Horn. Anyone else seek recognition? Anyone else stop?
Not, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it and giving us the opportunity to tell you about this program. I'm from Sullivan. I grew up in Bluffton. I'm proud of what we're doing here. And I wouldn't be a part of it if it wasn't the purpose of doing good and we weren't doing good. I wouldn't come to it. But I feel it's that important that we continue the programs and do the good things that we're doing in Sullivan County. We want to be a cutting edge county. We don't want to be a backward county that doesn't have the programs. Particularly, we got new people coming to the area, and this is one of the services that we provide to make us a good place to live, a good place to stay and work, and to retire. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Andrew, thank you. Next order. Property assessor Donna Whitaker, property appraisal update. Thank you, Ms. Whitaker, being with us.
You're welcome. So, at this point, we have mailed out our assessment change notices, what everyone's very well aware of. This week, we have fielded about 2,500 hearings, so we have started that process. And that will, we're booked up through probably the second week of May right now. And there's, each one of my field people have about 20 appeals a day, hearings. So that's going well. So far it's been streamlined and everybody's done their job and it's worked out real well. I'm having glitches, so I'm happy to report that. So the next step after we do our hearings, if someone is not satisfied with what they get at their hearing, they can go on to the county board, which is a 5-member board that will oversee their appeals and work with them at that point. And then if they so choose, they don't get what they need there, they can go on to the state board. We can help them move on to the state board of equalizations for another appeal. So after we finish our informal appeals, which we have going on right now, we should be able to find out what our certified tax rate is. And that is a big deal for these types of assessments that have happened this time. This is historical. It has never happened this way before. We've just had the market that drove these appraisals just so high, so high. And I get it. It is a heartburn for everyone, but we're working real hard to help make sure that you are treated fairly and equal with your neighbors. And when we get that certified tax rate, that heartburn is going to be relieved a lot, because a reappraisal is a non-revenue